Hi everyone, my name is Arielle and welcome back to my channel. If you've been following along this summer, I just got done hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and when I last left you, it was a couple of days ago. We were waiting for this guy to actually make the drive around the mudslide that stopped him from being able to actually pick us up from finishing the trail. But after an 8-hour drive around, he made it, and then the road opened. So we drove that way, and we've been thinking of ways to make this drive home to Colorado a little bit more special. And as you can probably see, we are sitting in a hot springs. We come down through Idaho on the way home, and we thought, what better way to spend time in Idaho than to hit up some of the Idaho hot springs. And we commandeered someone that you might recognize for this adventure, Miss Spice. Hello. Or in human world, Indy. And this is our lovely place this afternoon.
The words you sang to me, a modern mystery. The canvas waiting for the color in the morning light. I saw it in a dream. The spaces in between. Our silhouettes forever travel further side by side. What's mine is yours and yours is mine. The valley's in our hands, a castle in the sand. We'll build a home and let it go to meet the rising tide. A string between two cans.
Hi! See that. So is the water warm then? Yeah, it's like pretty bobby. The river's freezing. Yes.
What's mine is yours and yours is mine.
Hot Springs number 2 is a great success.
Check.
I really liked this one.
Yeah, it was really good. Just by the side of the road as well.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's very convenient. We're in like the Stanley, Idaho area, and there is so many different hot springs here, and I definitely think we'll have to come back. But for today, we are done with the hot springs chapter of our life, and we are moving on to Utah. Woo! Which Spice has also never been to, so she's getting like a ton of new states on this adventure.
Yeah, ticking them off. Let's do this.
All right, back on the road.
For all we know, this light is all we have, and all I know is bright enough to last. All we know, light is all we have, and all I know is bright enough to last.
Look who we found in Utah.
Yeah!
Going on a little hike because apparently we haven't had enough.
I just miss it so much.
For all we know, this light is all we have, and all I know is bright enough to last. All we know, light is all we have, and all I know is bright enough to
Good morning. Sam and I slept terrible last night. It's a beautiful campsite, but we had not one, but 2 mice that we had to catch in the night. So basically we were awake till like 1 a.m. trying to find things in the van to like humanely catch these mice and put them outside. So we're a little bit tired, but I am very excited to be cooking breakfast. I feel like I miss this the most, like eating real food.
You mean being able to choose what you want on the day rather than 6 days in advance?
Yeah, and like it not being dehydrated. We've been loving this. So I'm making like some eggs and sausages, and Spice is making
This here is something that we like to call vegetables. And yeah, we're kind of into them now.
We haven't eaten very many of those in the last
This
6
new
months.
trend.
It's all the rage in the real world. But anyways, we're gonna get ourselves going this morning and make our way to Colorado.
We're going home, baby.
So excited.
Oh, you're so close.
Honey, oh, hi, my sweet girl. Hi. You good girl? Oh, you love me too. Hi, buddy. Oh, come here. I'm so cute. Are you a good dog? Are you a good dog?
You're still a dog. You're still a dog.
Thank you. Come here. So I'm sure some of you noticed that Tabor had a cast on. Something I never talked about in the vlogs was her injury. I think because it just was kind of overwhelming, and it happened right before we went to the Oregon coast. And you probably, well, maybe you didn't notice, but I didn't actually end up saying anything to you guys during that period. I just showed you a couple clips from the adventure. And I feel like it was because I was processing a lot. So Tabor was actually hit by a car. It was just a total accident. They were out on like a back dirt road. And obviously she was really lucky, and it was just her leg. But in the time that we were there, kind of seeing how severe it was, and of course, like, your dog is family. So I was heavily contemplating, you know, going home, calling it there, you know, everything like that. And I feel really fortunate that it was not anything more serious. And so my husband, Sam, really reassured me to like keep going. I was, you know, getting so close to the end at that point. And yeah, so I think I just ended up letting that be something I internally process, but that definitely was a contributing factor to not seeing Sam and Tabor again until the end. So originally they were planning on meeting us in Cascade Locks. That would have been Sam and Mai's wedding anniversary while we were there for trail days. But just the fact that she was injured, and just the cost of the injury, and like her having to get surgery and everything like that, just made it unrealistic for him to be able to swing an extra drive out. So I hadn't seen Sam and Tabor since Lake Tahoe, which was, you know, just felt like ages and ages ago. So it was so good to finally get to spend some time with them. And it was also really great, and I'm just super grateful that Spice was able to make the road trip back to Colorado with us, because I feel like it would have been a lot harder of a transition from trail to regular life without that time. So Spice stayed with us here in Colorado for about a week, and we took her on all sorts of fun adventures. We went like downhill mountain biking, we went climbing, we even did this like ropes course thing that I had never done before. And it was just really, really nice to have her here. And at the end of the day, like, obviously the trail was incredible and really special, but like the people were, and I know I've said this probably more times, you guys are sick of hearing it, but the people are really what made this experience so amazing for me. So to have a little bit more time with her was really, really special. And yeah, kind of allowed me to ease into regular life a little bit. I would be lying if I said that that transition has been totally smooth. But before I jump in and chat a little bit more about what it's been like being home, let me show you our last adventure. I ended up driving Spice to Leadville, where she could get picked up from someone else we met on trail and make her way to Denver to fly out from there. And we decided, as we went over Independence Pass to Leadville, to do a fun little hike, one last adventure together, just to make the drive a little bit more fun.
Suddenly I'm seeing everything so different. Like I'm looking at the world through a brand new lens. Every shade of green and blue, and it's all because of you. I'm seeing everything. You make me wanna celebrate, 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 celebrate tonight. Like a picture that I've painted in my wildest dreams.
It's hailing.
What?
At least it's not painful hail.
No, it's actually, you know, as far as hail goes, on the great side.
Well, at least we're close to the car.
Yeah.
Such a fun little adventure. I can't believe this is our last adventure for a while.
Not forever though.
Well, I mean with each other.
I'll be back.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin any surprises, but I will actually hopefully be seeing her in like a month and a half.
Yoo-hoo!
Which means that I will be going to another country where she lives. Okay, back to hiking. I think we should get to the car.
You make me wanna celebrate, 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 celebrate tonight. Ooh, 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 celebrate tonight. Ooh, celebrate tonight. Celebrate tonight. Like a picture
Is
that
it weird?
I've painted in my
What are we doing?
wildest
Something weird?
dreams.
Just love you.
Came to life.
Why is it so hard to say goodbye? I feel like that's been, yeah, one of the hardest parts about ending this journey is just having to say goodbye to all these incredible people that have been such a big part of your life for 5 months. You know, especially Spice, who's been with me since basically the very beginning. We met day one at the very first water source, which just completely blows my mind. But it was, you know, like I said, really nice to have her here for that time. I do think it really helped me ease into being home. I've been home for about 3 weeks now, off the trail for almost 4. And yeah, I don't know. It feels like time. I feel like it's a bit of a time warp. Like it feels like it's kind of flying by at this point. But it definitely hasn't been, I wouldn't say it's been seamlessly smooth being home. It was, you know, great to have her here. But then when she left, I really did have to kind of plug into getting my life back together and getting back into the flow of everything. And at first I felt just super overwhelmed. I mean, I know people talk about post-trail depression, but my experience was much more anxiety. And I am a person who tends towards anxiety anyways. I struggle with social anxiety, and I, you know, have, panic attacks every now and then and things like that. So it's not something that's like different for me. And at the end of the day, anxiety and depression are almost like, they're kind of like two sides of the same coin. But I have talked to some other hikers from this year as well. And I think that this feeling of anxiety and overwhelm is also pretty common finishing the trail. Just, I think part of it is just the pace at which we live our lives these days, and just the expectations of what, you know, what we have on ourselves to get done, and, you know, kind of the societal expectations as far as like keeping up. And obviously something that you know, I feel like a lot of people, myself included, go to the trail to, is to get clarity on like on some of that, and, you know, what part of that hustle culture I don't really want to reintegrate. But the reality is, like, I do have to get back to work, and I do have to, like, you know, start to continue to, you know, build my life moving forward. And the reality is I was super overwhelmed with that process. I don't know if this is something any of you have experienced before, but I would look at my to-do list and almost be like paralyzed with overwhelm, and then do nothing, and then feel more overwhelmed and more anxious because I had done nothing. So that was that first week that Spice left. I honestly was kind of a mess. The only thing keeping me together was going to the yoga studio. I teach yoga. It's not my full-time job anymore. But this time of year, people need a lot of substitute teachers, and so I just agreed to sub a bunch of classes. And then I also was just going a lot to practice myself. And it's because it was one of the only places where I just felt grounded and anchored. And I think part of that is whether I'm teaching or I'm taking yoga, you're like focusing on one thing at a time. I feel like there's just so much going on and there's so many distractions that really adds to the overwhelm. And so that was kind of a place that was my sanctuary. But I decided to kind of tap into some of the other tools I've used over the years that have really helped me when I have a lot on my plate or when I'm feeling overwhelmed. And one of those is time blocking. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. I'm just going to explain it briefly because I'm sure some of you aren't interested. But basically, like, you just write out everything that you have to do for the week. So last Sunday I did that. And then I plan out my entire schedule for the week where I put in little time slots to do each task. And then I also schedule in things like for self-care of like going to yoga or if I wanted to like see a friend or even time to make food. And so I just plan out my whole schedule so that every little thing on my to-do list has a time and a place on my calendar. And then that way I don't have to worry about the whole list. I just worry about one thing at a time. And then also because I'm focusing on one thing at a time, I found that it's a lot easier to actually get things done and crossed off. I'm not so distracted. And it has been really, really, really helpful. Last week, I feel like I was able to get everything done and still have a life and everything like that, which is good. Because this week I do have to jump back into school. You may or may not know this, but I've been working on a master's degree in holistic nutrition. So I'm a graduate student and I took a leave of absence to hike the trail. So I took 6 months off and I do have to go back to school, which I'm actually excited about. I'm really passionate about what I'm studying and I really love doing the work, but it helps me feel a bit more grounded knowing that I've been able to get a little bit more on top of like the work and personal life things so that I don't feel so overwhelmed because it is, juggling a few plates at the same time. So I will be, doing school, doing work and, making sure I have time to get out and do all the adventures that I love to do. It's been something I've been juggling for a few years, so I know I can do it. But yeah, that's kind of an update on my kind of regular life at home. I did allude to this earlier in that hike with Spice, but I do have a big international trip planned before the end of the year. Sam and I will be going to Australia. We'll also be going to New Zealand. So I will 100% take you guys all along for the adventures over there. But in the meantime, I have been compiling a bunch of like PCT Q&A questions from over on my Instagram, and I'm going to be working the next couple of weeks to put together a couple different like more like educational or Q&A type videos on the trail. I did that for the Tahoe Rim Trail and I found that was like the most requested thing after I finished was just more information. So I'll definitely make sure these cover things like personal questions and logistics and planning and gear and finances. I know that's a big one. So look forward to that in the coming weeks. So we'll have some good YouTube PCT content and some fun vlogs. And yeah, oh man. So anyways, thanks you guys for being here. I've been really, really enjoying being on YouTube. This was just kind of a fun little side project. But I have really, really just loved this community and have been so grateful for each and every one of you. So I'm 100% planning on continuing to post new videos every single Sunday. So I'm not going anywhere. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. I know that was a lot of talking, but as always, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next Sunday.